Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hearthstone. So we've got all the quests done, but we still have some things to talk about. We want to make a third recording. We want to get our ranked up to at least 20 if not 19, so we'll just stick with Wild Hunter for the moment here. I could certainly play Wild something else, I suppose. On that aspect, it certainly would eventually make some sense as we're getting these new quests that are requiring us to get rid of certain decks that I, instead of making things like the mage deck that I probably won't be able to use very often, I instead try to make some better decks that will actually succeed more. But then that would also kill some of the fun too. Like, I don't ideally want to just be this player that finds the best meta deck. I'm getting very close to the point where I could probably do that. I am still very short on legendary cards, but everything else, practically every rare, common, or epic card, I probably have 2 or at least 1 of those cards. So that is no longer as much a consideration. I have 8,000 gold right now, so I can buy another 50 packs of classic cards and try to expand that some more. But I'm going to have to certainly give it a lot of thought when the next expansion happens. Which, fortunately for now, the next expansion doesn't seem like it's coming around anytime soon. Of course, BlizzardCon is happening right now, so by the time BlizzardCon is done, the next expansion might be announced, and then they may even say, oh, it's out in the next week, which that would kind of suck. Definitely. I have 3 things to talk about. Let's talk about RimWorld. So there's this game called RimWorld. I'm not super into it. I think it's something of a close cousin to Terraria, 2D Minecraft style game. I think. I could be totally wrong about this. But Rock Paper Shotgun, I believe, or some other website that I follow, did a in-depth analysis of the computer code in it. And in the computer code there, they found some shocking gender bias in the characters, because this is a game where I think it's a community management element to it. There are characters that are male and female, and they can get together and I assume have kids and all of that. The actual procreating part of that actually wasn't covered in the article, so maybe they can't have kids. Maybe they just get together and date and such. Let's see. This one's gonna make 2-1-1, so I don't want to do any damage to it yet. But there's some strange decisions that were made in it. Things like, if the character is male, then a female has if the character is male and is trying to mate with a female, there's always a chance of that going through. But if the character is male and he's trying to mate with a male, the male has to specifically be gay. So there are actually no straight women in the game at all. None. There's only explicitly lesbian, gay females, and bisexual women. That's the only options. For the males, there's only explicitly straight and explicitly gay. Furthermore, females prefer older men, while males prefer younger women. Males stop preferring younger women when they're 10 years younger than the male character, but females will have a chance of preferring older men to any point. So 60, 70 years older than a female, still preferable. So that's weird in itself, because that means that it doesn't even match. The numbers just don't match up at all. Anyone with a disability, which is a check box on the character's attributes, is immediately considered less preferable than anyone without a disability. That's not particularly a gender bias as much as it is just a handicap bias.
Once upon a time.
And let's see, what else was it? There's no bisexual men, women, let's see, disabled. Yeah, that's all I wrote there. There were several other things too there. It's a strange way to program your game, because somebody specifically thought these things through. And if someone specifically thought these things through, they specifically, intentionally did this. It's not something you could say, well, we made it so couples would always attract each other, so men would always prefer younger women, and younger women would always prefer older men. It doesn't really line up when there's a specific cutoff you have for the men on how young they are, and yet there's no cutoff for how old the men are. That means that makes the system unbalanced. In theory, you could have a 18-year-old female character attempting to partner with a 99-year-old male character, and the male character won't be attracted to the female, but the female would be attracted. It doesn't make any sense. And none of this makes any sense, really. We have seen in other games similar systems. We've seen it where it says something along the lines of some characters are straight, some characters are bisexual, some characters are gay. We've seen it where all characters are bisexual, which honestly I think that's kind of the Mass Effect idea, and that I think it works the best in video games, because video games are your fantasy, and whoever you want to get with is whoever you want to get with. I'm playing Skyrim right now, and as far as I can tell, I think I could probably mate with any male or female that I can get close to and marry. It's not very hard to write the dialogue so that characters are just nice to people no matter what, and interested romantically in anyone. It would kind of suck if it kind of sucks when you have this one character that you as the player really like, and then the game tells you no, you can't date that one because we wrote that character straight. Now you kind of get into the Witcher 3 aspect there, where the Witcher Geralt of Rivia is clearly a straight character, and this is clearly based off a book, but I'm not sure you even run into a problem with it, because I think Geralt of Rivia, if you want to play him as bisexual, you can do that. You probably can't have him as straight gay, though, because then that hurts the idea of... Let's try White Shaman. It hurts the idea of him having any kind of romance with Triss and Marigold. No, Triss Marigold is the same one. Triss and some of the other girls that play large parts of his story. But Rimworld takes it to another step. The only step I could imagine to program a game more just biased here, and that's the only right word for it, is if the programmer had said all blondes are more attractive, all females with breast size above D cups are more attractive, all girls with glasses are more attractive. I mean, whatever the programmer's idealistic idea of a woman becomes more attractive, and then it seems so silly. It feels almost like a Japanese thing, because I could understand, or not even particularly Japanese, there are a bunch of countries that just aren't up with the gay rights movement as much as more liberal countries, and there are definitely countries besides the United States that are a lot more up with that. So I could see you making a game and just saying no homosexuality at all, only straight relationships, and you could even make a game and write that into a story, and that might be an interesting commentary. But it's not really what video game writers or video game creators want to do. They are all a little bit more liberal on this point, and they specifically do want to just have every character be bisexual if they can be bisexual, and that's fine for most players. Because if you want to play a game where everybody's straight, you probably aren't going to get it thrown in your face. The Borderlands Telltale game, yeah, there was a lesbian couple there, and it was mentioned. And there are certainly other points where I'm sure it's been mentioned, but I don't really feel like it gets overemphasized too often. The only time I've seen it just exploitatively overemphasized is in what was that Radiator game? That garbage game that I think Steam got rid of. I don't remember. You could certainly. Let's see. Was there another game where it was really crazy? No. There was a Nintendo game where genders got changed and stuff. Next things, and people were kind of upset about that. But yeah, weird bias there. We do get these biases in other aspects. If you play any Japanese game with Japanese girls, you are certainly getting what that creator's mental ideal of a best girl, perfect girl is, usually at least. Lara Croft, blonde hair, white skin, big breasts, not as big as they used to be every day. Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, a lot of stereotype styles of people in those. Let's see, Samus Aran, blonde hair, white skin, again. So when you take a step further back, we get a lot of tall, wide-breasted, blonde-haired girls in games. Then there's some black-haired girls too, but the girls with glasses thing actually hasn't been that much, because I don't think it translates as well to an American audience. And then certainly a lot of Japanese moe phase happened for a long time, and it's still around. So young girls, cute girls, cartoon styles. So you'll see a lot of that, particularly in the sex comedy games or romance comedy. You see this interesting change between a visual novel from Japan and a visual novel from a different country in the kind and style of characters that are drawn. So yeah, let's move on. Terraria, which is 2D, and Dungeon Defenders 2, which is 3D. Let's see. Have decided to make some DLC. Sorry for the pause there. They've decided to make some DLC that crosses over into the world. And what's weird about this is I can certainly see Dungeon Defenders, a 3D game, crossing over to a 2D. 3D to 2D is really easy pixel art to move. But they're moving at least one character from the 2D art style to a 3D art style, which means they kind of have to start from almost scratch and make a better looking character or textures. Speaking of better looking characters and textures, there is a mod that they've come out with for Skyrim Special Edition that improves the graphics a little bit, and I would like to think at least about playing with that mod on, but I don't think it would be fair coverage to do that. Well, let's see, I'm gonna lose no matter what, so let's just attack.
Job's done.
It's not really covering Skyrim Special Edition if I put the mods on there. There's already the Skyrim unofficial patch has been updated to run on Special Edition. Turns out all the Special Edition did was fix the graphics, so there's still tons of bugs in the game, and that's not who I want to play as. Anyway, let's try Paladin. So bugs, text spellings, glitches, things like that. It probably is a good idea if you're going to play to install the unofficial patch, because it's not going to change anything in a bad way. It's just going to fix bugs. And yeah, I feel it. Skyrim Special Edition has crashed once. There are bugs. There are characters that are annoyingly bouncing into me all the time. If that one thing was fixed, I would be pretty happy with just that fix alone. Stupid Barnabas the dog, finally got rid of him just because of how annoying he was as a character to deal with. And it's silly. I should have kept him. It's also kind of difficult. I said I was going to talk about how Skyrim's a little boring, and it is. Because anytime I see a section I've done, and I can kind of remember, it's like, well, I've done this before. I did this a while ago. But I've done it. And that's not the most entertaining thing to do, is to play a game. The sad truth is you really can't go back. I think Skyrim Special Edition is probably only for new players, which is fine. And then I do kind of get scared what happens if Skyrim increases my channel and I have all these extra views from it, because then my idea of continuing forever might actually become the truth. And after a certain point, I guess it's fine. If I do all the main story and all the DLC and I still want to play, which I don't feel like I really will, then, and I've got a lot of views going there and just gonna do this for a while, I think I will put in the mods, and it will become a less of a focus on the reviews specifically of the game as it's presented on its own, and more of a focus on just what experience it has there. But if it is going to go on forever, I'm going to have stuff to talk about, and then that opens a whole new Pandora's box. Am I talking about things on Hearthstone, or am I talking about things on Skyrim? And that opens the whole issue up. Let's see. This and this and I'm gonna just hold on to this guy, might as well. So that's something to be afraid of. Something that EA should have been afraid of. Nice transition there, but I'm still saying myself. Titanfall 2 is being released 1 week after Battlefield 1, and oh, by the way, 1 week before Infinite Warfare. Why in the world would you do this? We have to ask the world and everyone in it. Why? Just why would you put a game that, from everything I've heard, actually has an interesting 2-player mode going on it, and, no, not 2-player, but single-player mode in it. It seems like it's adding a better story. It seems like its multiplayer is pretty good. Titanfall in itself is a slightly different style multiplayer. Like Battlefield 1, you're set in World War II fighting, and Infinite Warfare, I think, is the modern fighter, so there's a little bit of difference there. But at the core of them, they're all first-person shooters. So why get right in there in that time slot? Why hurt your game?
Give that minion a turn to get ready.
And I sadly don't have an answer for that. But it's weird that they do this, and then another article comes out and EA says they're dedicated to Titanfall, and they want to make it like an annual series that they want to, or maybe not an annual series, but a series that they continue. So what happened? Maybe they just didn't have another time slot to release games, but that seems really ridiculous. There's been tons of weeks where we've had nothing to talk about. There's been lots of weeks where games haven't come out. Are they just all trying to get into the 4th fiscal quarter so that they can make their annual sales goals? That doesn't make sense either, because your sales are going to be lower. Are they trying to sneak something into Titanfall 2? Does it turn out that Titanfall 2 is actually not that good in the multiplayer and you get bored of it after a week? Is it that their servers aren't very reactive? That might be the case. I just don't think the fact that there's these giant robots that you control is a big enough twist to justify trying to compete against 2 of the other major first-person shooters that are going to come out this year. It doesn't even make sense why Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare are so close to each other. They could have spread these out into different quarters. Delays of games happen all the time. It seems ridiculous that we wouldn't get any of it, that you'd have them so close together. Alright, one more game, and then we're going to be done with this recording session. We're trying to get up to rank 19. I doubt we're going to make it there, but whatever. So the last thing, if I can check here for everything I've scratched off, is Agony is now on Kickstarter. I believe when I looked at it, they have $14,000 pledged of $50,000 they want. That's an important thing to notice. But here's my problem. And if somebody wanted to go back to my other Hearthstone
with honor. I
and
will
go
command the light.
and watch every previous episode for the past few months, I've talked about Agony. Agony looks like this is a really dark, scary, hell-ish world with this very, very scary looking creature that for some strange reason has like all kinds of shell, like lobster-like flesh all around her, except for her breasts, which are perfect human breasts in the thing. Very mature, very all of that happening. And the actual gameplay, I couldn't tell what the actual gameplay was going to be at all. It seemed like all of it was cutscenes for what they were showing. There seems like there will be a three-dimensionality to it as you're trying to escape through these tunnels. It looks like the whole game might be full of tunnels, and it might just be hiding from creatures. Very flashy, very interesting to look at the cutscenes, but the actual gameplay, it wasn't there. It was obviously they hadn't done that yet. And I'm pretty sure, or I feel like at least, that I would have said even then, this game feels like they're trying to drum up funding some way. But they weren't right then. They were just announcing it as a game. And something I've heard about these Kickstarters is you need to do a lot of work to get a lot of money at the first 3 days or so of a Kickstarter, because that puts you on the top page of the Kickstarter's main page, and then so you become the top trending Kickstarter, and that gets you more things. And you want it to make it look like it is a strong going, definitely going to succeed Kickstarter, so more people will work with it and succeed it, and Kickstarter will succeed. So maybe that's what they were doing in announcing this game, or maybe they did have funding and they lost the funding, but now it's on Kickstarter. Wow, he started observing me and then stopped observing me. That's interesting. And I'm still very much of the point where I would never suggest to anybody to try to do anything on Kickstarter or any other service like that. It's just not what. It's not pre-ordering, it's gambling, it's investing your money on into something that, even if it does give you a product, you have no guarantee of the quality of the product. It's not like Fig where you're going to get any money back, and even Fig is a terrible investment. Fortress Fury by Captain Sparkles, he came out nearly a year later and says, oh yeah, the reason I haven't been talking about Fortress Fury is because we've been dealing with the SEC to get more investments. So we finally got that approved. So now invest in this game so we can keep it running, this free-to-play game. And I'm not even sure what the real goal there is. It feels like they're trying to keep fund online play for longer and keep things happening on it, and maybe put some more multiplayer and some maybe some updates to it. Nothing solid as far as Fortress Fury, but I couldn't imagine funding Agony because there's a huge difference between making a trailer for something. We had a great example of this when the Mortal Kombat live action like YouTube videos were made, that it was just kind of a suggest an idea of what they were going to do. There's a big difference between doing that and actually having a final product. And I don't see a game in Agony. I really don't. Not yet, at least. I would need to see more trailers, and the fact that they're having to get funding tells me that they can't actually afford to make a game right now by themselves, which means even if this thing did get kickstarted, they're gonna make something super small. $50,000 is not enough money to make a long game. This isn't going to be a 5-hour game. This is going to be a 2-hour game at $50,000. And that level of graphics for $50,000, it's forget it. They're not asking for enough money in hopes of getting something else. It all feels kind of like a scam. Furthermore, Agony kind of comes after Allison Road came and failed, so we've already seen this happen once, where it's like the guy tried to make Allison Road and then gave up on making Allison Road and came back and said, oh, I'm going to still try to work on it, but there's no reason to ever believe that's ever going to be done. There's also a different game that is coming out that looks kind of like Agony, except for it's black hellish instead of red hellish items, and that came first, I believe. So I heavily suspect that's an issue too. I was hoping I could craft something here, but I guess I can't. Darn it. So I look forward to seeing Agony come out if it ever comes out, but I heavily would never recommend anybody fund anything on Kickstarter, not even non-video game things, and I suspect heavily it's not going to come out. Somebody else will take those visuals, certainly, and we'll see a better game in it, but go check out the trailer for Agony and remember for what it promised to be versus what it comes out as. There is a huge risk also, if it does come out, that it won't be as good as the trailer, and it'll just be another No Man's Sky style game. So keep that in mind too. That's going to be it for this recording session. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me further, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.